Welcome to the Heart of Money podcast, where we discuss the impact that money has on every area of your life and where you can learn to make smarter money decisions. Join our conversation as we discuss our past experiences, talk about how to make better money management choices, and in the end, make a commitment to being weird. Hey folks, welcome back to the Heart of Money, episode 55. I am your host, Austin Black, joined by the intelligent, sophisticated, good looking, and sometimes a little bit funny. Oh, this no, wait, darn it, this is Bob Wessler, my co-host. I was thinking about someone else. I'm sorry,
Oh,
man.
oh,
I'm glad you
I
showed
was
up
a little,
though.
I was really concerned on who you were talking about.
I was thinking about a
You had me.
guest we had
Oh,
a few weeks ago.
oh, yeah, yeah. Anyway, here I am. Here I am, rip roaring, ready to go
In all of your yellow shirt glory.
in all of my yellow shirt glory that you can see with my transfiguration light bulb I have going on over there.
Yes, everyone should be glad I finally got Bob to get a light so we can actually see him and not think that he's in the what'd you call the prisoner protection room or something?
Yeah. The what is it? Witness protection.
Witness protection, yeah.
Witness protection. Because I'm now facing the direction that I had my desk set up at home originally for COVID, and this time of year when the sun goes down, there's no light. And Austin wanted me to get a ring light, and I had one that I got off, I think, Amazon, that lasts like 20 minutes. Is way too bright. Especially if it's way too bright, it doesn't last 20 minutes. So I went the cheap route and went and got a light bulb that I call the transfiguration bulb, because it has 3 settings: bright, brighter, and the sun is not as bright as this third setting. So yeah. So, but the transfiguration, because I can't see anything, and there were 3 appearance at the transfiguration. So I think it's actually on the lowest setting right now, because it got really hot last time I used it, which is interesting for an LED bulb. But you can see me, and here I is, not in the witness protection program. Maybe I should be.
Well, I'm glad that you have a shining light on yourself.
This little light of mine.
Well, man, we wrapped up last week with a two-part conversation on lessons that we are sometimes teaching our kids with credit cards and the benefits, disadvantages, the things to keep in mind around that. And I thought it would be, really um, wise, maybe would be the right term, to come in this week and just talk about some fundamentals of money management. So whether you are going to use credit cards or not, I know that will be a continual. We talked in the end of season one about how we always have differing opinions around the same end result, and that will be something that you and I will always probably have differing opinions on. But it's important to bring both sides of the conversation to this show. So as we continue to do that, and talking about our credit cards in the last couple of episodes, and now just money management. I think we ended last week's episode just discussing the fact that kids need to know how to manage money, period, whether you're going to use credit cards or not. So we can uncover some of those strategies, those fundamentals this week, talking about spending, saving, budgeting, just financial literacy, and what we can be teaching our kids, really probably regardless of what age they are, as long as they're old enough to understand what's going on. I think the interesting part of this conversation, Bob, is you already have had experience with older kids and probably teaching money. We have kids of the same age, but you also have Kate's daughter there who's older. So I know I haven't experienced teaching kids exactly, but I know what I want to teach my kids. And you probably have maybe had a little bit more hands-on experience. So I'm excited to hear your personal perspective. Um, but yeah, coming off of the last 2 weeks, so what's your thought process just on the importance of money management, especially when we're talking about our kids?
Um, as we're talking, I'm looking at the Ramsey Solutions website to get to Financial Peace Junior because um, my oldest actually has. She went through the Financial Peace high school edition. It might not be called high school edition, but it's something similar. Let's see. Maybe it's foundations in
That sounds right.
financial. Okay, yeah. Financial foundations in personal finance, high school edition for self study. As I'm looking at it right now, it's $30. We got it for her during COVID when she was taking 2 hours to do all her schoolwork and had nothing else to do. So we thought that was another good option for her to add to her studies since she was home. And like I said, it's $30 right now. I'm sure as we get closer to Christmas, they might have a sale on it. Um, it's marked that it's a $120 item, but I don't know that that's if I've ever actually seen it for that price. Um, the other thing that I had given her is the Teen Entrepreneur Toolbox, another Ramsey product that actually helped her in one of her classes in school, which I thought was great.
Nice.
That there were two things that we got from there that had really helped her. One, understand finances, because I think to this point, she does not get an allowance. She doesn't have anything that she really needs money for that isn't already taken care of, and that's usually school stuff, clothing, whatever. The other the other benefit is that when she was growing up, Kate, uh, we have probably 2 ton, not in quantity but in weight, of DVDs in this household of all the shows that she got to watch
You
growing up,
realize
which
how
meant that
light a DVD actually is of its own accord.
you should open some of the drawers that these DVDs are in. Hmm, I
How do
digress.
you
Rabbit
get
hole.
two
We never do
ton
that.
of DVDs?
You buy a lot of them through subscription services and other things. So they have really come to benefit the other two as they've come along. But uh, the thing with having all those DVDs growing up, where she didn't necessarily have all the cable channels and all that stuff to watch, the other thing she didn't watch was commercials. So there was nothing she absolutely had to have at any given time because she never saw the commercials. At this point, she really doesn't even know what a commercial is because she still hasn't seen them, because now we still watch those same DVDs or watch Amazon and you don't get the commercials.
So we
So,
we have on
um,
our TV, we have a DVR. It's called a tablet, but it's a DVR function. So we hardly ever watch live TV, and whenever we watch the recordings, we pretty much fast forward to the commercials. Our girls know that if a commercial comes on, you're supposed to fast forward through it, and they'll say it's an ad.
yeah, I a couple of weeks ago I started watching a TV show that I just happened to come across because it was on. I was looking for Monday Night Football, and this came on. I was like, "Well, this is a really good show." Well, the problem was it's on later at night. It's every Monday, and it
Mhm.
would be entertaining to watch, but I don't stay up that late. First,
Was like
two, I got
9:30,
to get a 4-year-old to bed, huh?
like 9:30 showing. Is that
Yeah,
so?
yeah, it
You
was
don't stay
9
up late.
o'clock, 9 to 10. I try not to, but I usually don't get to bed before 10 because my 4-year-old doesn't go to bed until 9:30. So, um, one, it's about the time that we put him to bed, so I can't watch it. Well, then, you can pay for a subscription to watch it the next day. I'm not paying for that. I'm sure at some point it'll show up on Amazon anyway, but
Yeah.
I'm not paying just to watch this one show. As much as, it'd be entertaining, I don't have to have that type of gratification. I can wait, or I don't have to watch it at all. Um, but that was the tangent on the
I'm proud of
TV
you.
shows, and where she has no real need for, she has to have something because she never had the commercials to go, oh, I have to
Yep.
have that, or the big old JC Penney Christmas catalogs that you
Right.
remember those from back in the day. Um, for my younger kids that are 18 months and 4 years, we start them real early. I did get Financial Peace Junior. I'm sorry, I didn't get Junior. I got, it's not in here. It's Junior's Adventures. So there's a book that Ramsey has put together about I think there's 6 different storylines, and they fall in line with the baby steps. But one of the things that's not included with the book, but the whole reason that I went to look up the Ramsey Solutions site was the Smart Saver Bank. And that I think is a big piece because it gives you, there are 3 sides to the Smart Saver Bank. And let's see here where we go. It helps you to spend, save, and give. And as a parent, you can help your child understand how much to allocate to spending, how much to allocate to saving, and how much to allocate to giving. And I think we talked about a little bit in our first season about the richest man in Babylon, or the 80-10-10 rule. Yep. And saving 10 and giving 10 and living off the other 80, and possibly, making that a 70-15-15, or however you want to do it as you mature through the process. But yeah, I thought that was really cool bank because it's 3-sided, and it gives you, it shows kids how to allocate way before they can ever spell the word or maybe even pronounce it. They know what to do with their money.
I'm pretty sure my 4-year-old could pronounce it. She's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So at what age are you using that system? Was that just with the older girls, or are you doing that with your 4-year-old?
Well, right now my 4-year-old is getting out of the car at gas stations to help me push the button to pump gas. But then we walk around all the islands searching for coins that people have dropped. So that's the stage we're at with him, is walking around gas station islands and always keeping an eye out for spare change, because, even still in this environment, a penny that you find is 1 month's interest in a regular bank account. So right. I don't care if it's heads up or heads down, heads up or tails up or whatever. Just the fact that you find it. And I mean, I think I started this with him maybe 3 months ago, and he's all about it. And the only problem is that he gets a little too excited and tries to run to other islands, and we got to make sure that there are no cars coming. So, yeah. Because then if he gets hit by one of those, it doesn't matter how many pennies you pick up, it's not going to pay for the medical bill.
That went downhill fast.
But I do have accident insurance, so.
On your kid? Or your
it's car? A flesh wound. Yeah. Now, notice I'm not teaching him to run out in front of cars to gain insurance money. Totally different subject, and that's not something we cover on the show.
I was like, which policy are we talking about here?
So, yeah.
The fundamentals of money management do not include using your kid as an insurance policy.
And the dismal percentages of kids that play sports growing up that go on into professional careers, another subject altogether. Anyway, so I think with my 4-year-old, he's doing the Junior's Adventures, and he's getting the concepts down of money management without actually handling money. He's getting to know the value of money, the conversations we have. But we're not really to a point of, and maybe that's a subject in and of itself, either for this episode or another, is kids and allowance. That, our oldest doesn't have an allowance. She does some babysitting on the side when she's not heavily invested in school activities, which take up the conversation this evening, was how much time she has allocated to school when she's got band before school even starts in the morning. Then she's got band after school and every other day that ends in Y. So I think she gets Saturdays and Sundays off, maybe, but they switched to a 4-day school week, but she still has band on Mondays. So she's in band even when they don't have school. Plus she's, you're talking about your 4-year-old being smart. this kid can play 4 different instruments, and she's looking at starting jazz band and playing a different instrument. So she's multi-talented, along with doing, was it flag corps, stuff like that. She just can't do them
Are
all
you
at the
are you
same
keeping
time,
up with her?
even though she probably try. I don't. No, I can't. I can't. Um, no. So she's busy. We talked about last year an opportunity that to go along with the Teen Entrepreneur book. Um, Here in town, we live outside of town, but in town they give an allowance to people on trash bags, that you get
Mhm.
X number of trash bags a year as part of your stuff. Um, we've got a special visitor. So
He knew we're talking about him.
yeah, it's okay. And so she can't stay away from me for 2 hours. I also have a 2-hour time limit with them. After 2 hours, I'm about shot. So
It's not just me.
that's not in the episode. Yeah. Yeah, that's another story. We'll leave that for another day. We were talking about last year, because the city gives an allocation of so many trash bags, that they used to have yard waste bags, and they did away with the yard waste bags. And now you're supposed to put your yard waste in these trash bags. And the trash bags are horrible. They're poor quality. But in order to put your trash on the curb in town, they have to have these logoed bags.
Yeah.
And you can't just put any bag out there. You have to buy it from the city, and it has to have the logo. Otherwise, they don't pick it up. And I told her, hey, I've got an idea for those people that have yard waste, especially this time of year with leaves falling off trees. Why don't we get our trailer out and we get one of those push behind sweepers, and we go to people that are, more in their 60s, 70s, 80s, people that are more elderly, that aren't going to be able to get out and rake their leaves, and are not in a position that they can, one, do it, or two, have to pay,
Yeah.
for extra trash bags, because they give you roughly one a week, if that, through their allocation. And I said, we can charge 10, 15, $20, and you can say, and we can give a senior discount, and we give a military discount. We'll take $2 off, we take $5 off, whatever. It gives you an opportunity to earn money. We don't have to do anything special per se, but we're filling a need that they would need to have done anyway, but we're taking care of it for them. And I think that was an opportunity. With so much else going on with her, I don't think it's something that's going to be coming to fruition. But it is something we talked about as an opportunity to earn money, for later on. She's, with all the stuff she's doing, it could be that she has scholarships coming in that, again, pay for all of her school because of all of her involvement, plus the A+ program here in Missouri. So she's well set. But for the 4-year-old and 18-month-old, they have piggy banks. Actually, they're dogs, but same thing. Everybody has piggy banks of different kinds. We've got 2 different dogs that are roughly the size of footballs, and each kid has their own. That whenever I go and have change from somewhere, I drop in.
We're talking about real dogs or something else, because I'm confused right now.
No, remember, my dogs weigh half ton. Let's go
That's
back
why
to
I'm
the
confused.
tonnage thing and weight. My dogs are half ton. I don't put change in them unless they eat it for some reason. But their dog food's another story on how much change that cost me. But with them being 4 and 18 months, the concepts of money are just now taking root. And if Kate and I have conversations about money, there will be times that they pick up something and repeat it. It might not be in context, but they're listening. So when we have the conversations ourselves and how we're allocating money, or what something's costing, or how we're saving money, case in point, last night, told the 4-year-old that I was mommy $250 on shocks because I watched a Google YouTube video on how to change shocks myself, because I changed them in the truck a few weeks ago and that took no time and very little effort. So the Jeep needs them too. And I'll save 250 because I got them at a good price, and they're the same style as the ones I put in the truck. And it's the same setup. Makes it very easy because they're not brand new cars that require extra
Right.
bells and whistles to get to them. So, and so that's a concept that he's understanding, is being able to save money and doing things yourself and not having to pay somebody to do things you can do yourself. And to me, I enjoy doing that. So it's therapeutic, I guess.
I'm interested because I hear you talking about like actual financial education and the conversations that you're having around money, your kids picking up and everything. Our I guess it'd be your oldest between with you and Kate. Our oldest, they're very close in age. I mean, my yours is already 4. My dog's be turning 4 next month. Um, and up till this, well, I guess I say up to this point. I mean, the current management practice, I guess, that we're employing is any money that they get pretty much goes straight into their savings account, whether it be, a gift for a holiday, a, grandma and grandpa, grandkid just want to give a money gift, whatever. Majority of the time, it just ends up going into the savings account, and then, we use it to buy a nice, or if we need to buy something nicer or bigger item, like we bought a car seat here recently because the youngest had to increase in size in the car seat, so we went ahead and pulled some of that money out for that. But the we have just been putting money into the savings account and letting that grow, and eventually at some point then that's accessible for their use. um, but we haven't really done any formal, I shouldn't say formal, we haven't done any active education with our girls around money. They know some very basic, very general concepts as far as we buy at garage sales, we buy at Aldi's, we tried to you know do simple stuff like that. Um, in your opinion, at what age do you see your kids comprehending? Because I mean, obviously they are. At what age do you see that
Mhm.
kind of beginning to take place, to where they understand at some level the financial things that you're doing, that you're incorporating, that you're kind of walking them through? I'm wondering if I'm kind of behind the ball on this a little bit, but at the same time, I have, because I've thought about, okay, once my kids get old enough to where they could start doing household chores and be actually getting something in return for their work, or if they start doing a livestock project and sell that, like that's how I grew up with 4-H projects. That money all went straight to my savings account, and then I was able to spend some later on if I needed to,
Mhm.
or if I went and worked, whatever. So that's been my thought process of teaching my kids, is when they get to the point of understanding that dollar value in exchange for time spent, effort, et cetera, then that's their money to
Mhm.
spend, save, give, invest, whatever. But it sounds like you're kind of maybe starting that already. Is that an accurate assessment? And if so, how did you determine the right time to begin just influencing those with your kids?
Um, I'm on the same page with this, with the savings accounts, that any money that they get from someone goes immediately to the account. At this point, that I don't know that they even acknowledge that they received money.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a, I get it and move it on to one of their savings accounts for them. Um, I, I don't even know that I was cognizant of an age to start talking about things. Um, I want to say that Kate and I had conversations, or just conversations we have with the older girl that we've had those conversations with her, and because we've had conversations that have either affected or impacted her or are to her benefit, or in teaching her money management, the 4-year old has picked up on that. And so we do this, we have those conversations with him. Whether he understands them completely or not, I don't know. It really doesn't matter, other than we're having the conversation and he's
Yeah.
grasping at it.
Right.
Um, you know, with chores, he loves to help.
Right.
Like I said, talking about going to the gas station, he wants to get out and push the button. He wants to help with that transaction.
Yeah.
The other day, now, let's see, a couple months ago, we took the camper out, and when we got back, our older daughter, um, Kate, said, "Hey, here's a list of a half dozen things or so that all need to be done. If you spend your afternoon doing this, we'll give you X number of dollars for taking your time to clean the camper." And so she was around and she did that, and Kate paid her. And then I winterized it this last weekend after our last trip. And my 4-year-old was in there with me, and we went over the things that we needed to do to keep it in good shape and what we needed to do to take care of it. And that's something that I know I talked about in season 1, was taking care of the things you have. And I basically
Mhm.
said, now look, we have this, we've had it for a few years now. We want to have it even when you're your older sister's age. We want to keep it
Mhm.
that long. We want to keep it in good shape, and this is how we do it. Um, so again, it's impressing upon him those ideas. Whether he gets it yet or not, I'm guessing he does, um, but it's still not a concrete uh, mental model, I guess, for
Right.
him. So it's just having the conversations and sharing with him things that have been impressed upon me, and sharing it. And I'm not going to stop telling him it when he gets 5. When he turns 5, I'll be telling this to him when he's 25, probably when he's 50. So there are things that were passed on to me in the same manner, and there are times that I know I've heard it well, and I still hear it from my parents, because that's just kind of the thought process and the mental mode of the things you pass on,
Yeah.
being a responsible parent.
It amazes me what they actually catch that you don't intend on them catching. I think a lot of times I find myself doing this all the time. You know, we'll be talking about something random, and all of a sudden my daughter brings back a occurrence or a comment or something that happened. They're like, "How in the world did you remember that?" And it's
Yeah.
ingrained in there. We would never would even thought of it. And they pick up on so much, especially early on. I'm looking at probably 3 to 10 years of age is kind of the bracket that I'm looking at right now. And what they capture, what they process. I don't have any stats, any backing for this, but I would venture to say that that is probably one of the most critical points to understand the basic functions of your daily lifestyle, your decision making, all those pieces. And I feel like probably a lot of us parents um, maybe don't acknowledge or take the time to communicate the fundamentals of money management to our kids during then. We just would think, well, they don't really understand much. They're not getting an allowance, so they're not doing chores yet. We'll deal with it whenever they're a teenager and get their first job. But at that point, they've already been watching us. They've already been listening to us. They've already been seeing what we do, what we don't do, and they had that natural behavior as a part of them. I know whenever I was growing up, I didn't get my first quote unquote job until I was probably like, shoot, 9, 10, 11 years old, something like that. I think I was, I help my folks clean church, custodian type stuff. But I was fired up and I was ready to go work. And I will forever remember when I got like my first real true, this is you're the only one doing this job. I mowed the church yard and got paid once a month. And my mom and dad made it a very solid point to say, okay, this is your paycheck. Now, how much that you're gonna give back to the church? And that was like the very first lesson I learned was, okay, we're gonna tithe back 10% of this to the church, and the rest of it we're probably gonna put into, I forget if we put into the savings account or if I got to spend any of it, whatever. It wasn't a lot of money, but so it didn't go real far, but it broke down into those categories again. Um, but I think even early on, like you have mentioned here, it's important for us to talk about what we're doing with our money in front of our kids, with our kids, helping them understand just the basics of it. Um, that might even get our kids a jump start, maybe. As they get older and they begin to absorb more of what we're doing, how we're managing our money, what we do, why we do it. So I think one element of this conversation to really be cognizant of is being open, obviously with our spouse, but even with our kids on how we manage money, why we do certain things, why we don't do certain things. What's the basic fundamental concepts of this that we can share, and then going into that, if our kids do start having those jobs or those chores, start getting. I never liked the allowance term either. I never really got one. I worked for any money I got. That was from the very beginning. That was the way it was. You don't get this money each week. You get to work for your earnings, and that
Mhm.
was really good for me. But understanding when you do get money, there's three buckets: the giving, the saving, the spending. Obviously, saving kind of goes into investing later on in life. You're probably doing more of that than I am at this point. So, with your experience, what are some of the best ways to teach those elements and teach those pieces, and what matters maybe for a kid in your experience early on versus maybe more of a teenager? um Kind of walk me through your frame of mind on just teaching those principles to your kids.
I First and foremost, I think it's in real life application that as you're going through it, if it's not a crucial decision that my wife and I need to discuss, but is a simple money topic of some sort, I think those are good for kids because it's something that could happen on a daily basis. Um, and the one that comes specifically to mind is on this last trip we took, um, the little 12-volt door that goes over the old cigarette lighters. They don't put the
Yeah.
cigarette lighters anymore, they just have the cover. But it broke off, and never would I have thought that would have broken. I don't know how or why it got broken, and nobody said that it was broken. It just kind of happened, and so I got on eBay for a replacement piece, and they're all made in China. They all look about the same, and they're all less than $10 unless you buy the Ford part, which costs about $40 or $45 for the exact same thing. But the stenciling on the 12V is more precise. I will say in this case, you do get what you pay for, but I had to tell myself also that nobody notices that stuff. They don't care. It's just covering it so it doesn't get dirty. It was a pain in the tail to get the broken piece off of the center console. And there are a couple scratches now in the center console because of me trying to get the tabs off. But the conversation that I had with my son and my father probably had with me at the same age or somewhere thereabouts, was taking care of your stuff. That you always want to take care of what you have so it lasts longer, it stays in good condition, and you don't spend money on things you don't need to spend money on. This was $10 I didn't need to spend, and it was what should have been 10 minutes that actually ended up being probably 45 because it wouldn't come out of the darn center
Gee
console.
whiz.
And all the frustration and maybe a four-letter word that came out of my mouth that a 4-year-old shouldn't have to hear. Maybe he was gone by then. I was already frustrated enough. Um, yeah, there were two incidences over the weekend that were just a little bit much for a 4-year-old that he and I were not seeing eye to eye. But anyway, it's because he's so short. The the idea was that
Well, you're not that tall,
just
so
yeah, I know. I represent the Lollipop Guild. With him, it was letting him know that if we take care of our things, and it did come to find out that he broke it accidentally, and he said that multiple times that he had accidentally broken it. I don't know how he broke it. I don't know why. Again, there was no reason for him to be playing with it because we didn't put anything in it. The DVD player was plugged into the other actual AC outlet, AC DC, whatever it is,
that's
and
a rock band.
it is. I was thinking Thunderstruck, and yeah, going back to my DJing days, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. That
It
I
never
pressed upon
does.
him that we didn't have to spend this money. We didn't have to spend this time. We didn't have to get frustrated, or I didn't have to do any of these things because had we not broken it in the first place, this would not be an issue. Had we taken care of what we had and not messed with it because it didn't need to be messed with, but he's 4 and stuff like that happens. It was time and money that we didn't need to spend that we had to keep it in good shape. Those conversations will continue to happen to the point to where he rolls his eyes because he already knows, but he'll still do things that he shouldn't do. But he's a kid. It's part of growing up. With the teenager, I don't know. I think she's more into the life application stuff, and we're now getting college ready. She's learning about finances, the whole conversation about, get as many scholarships, apply for as many scholarships, apply for scholarships that don't even apply to your age, gender, race, whatever. That was one of the jokes that came from, I don't recall which baby step it was, but it was teaching kids about saving for college or paying for a college education. And the couple that I had in one of the classes, I said, there was a guy in our class that, I didn't apply for any of these scholarships because I wasn't female. I wasn't going to, I didn't play a musical instrument, et cetera, whatever. Well, this guy ended up winning all these scholarships for $500, $1,000, $1,500 a pop because nobody else applied for them.
I remember you told me that story.
Nobody fit the criteria. So he went ahead and applied for them, even though he didn't fit the criteria, but he still got them because nobody else applied for him either. So, right. Unless they just don't award them for whatever reason, but I thought it was humorous to me that this guy is, for the most, what was it? The most outstanding female playing the flute in whatever, who's choosing to go to X college, of which he met none of the criteria. It goes to thus and such. And
that's funny.
It got to a point where it was just like, this is ridiculous, all of these that he's winning. But I mean, he pretty much paid for his first year of college by filling out all these applications for things that didn't apply because nobody else did either.
It's crazy what just doing something will garner for you sometimes.
Yeah. And how much you can make. I mean, they were 10, 15 minutes of his time to fill out these applications. I mean, he's making $1,500 in 15 minutes, $100 a minute. That's pretty good return on investment. And I think that's kind of where we are with her in understanding the value of money, understanding that things cost money, and it takes money to live, but then money is also necessary to do the things you want to do.
Right.
Not just to live, but to go on trips, to buy clothes, whatever it is. It's not the amount you have, but you need to have enough to take care of necessities and support yourself.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think as our kids get older, it's really important that they understand those essentials and the fact that food just doesn't show up on the table. The lights don't just automatically turn on. I can't think of how many people I've heard, you know, after they get later in life and become, an adult, they finally start realizing, oh, I actually have to pay my electric bill. I actually have to put gas in my car. I actually have to, cover my groceries and my insurance and everything else. It doesn't just happen. It's instilling those everyday practices, I think, is extremely important to our kids' understanding, to their success, to their future financial ability, that they know this is how life works. This is what's expected of you. Yeah, we're going to help you out as much as we can, but the time comes when this is on you, and this is how you do it well, how you avoid getting yourself in a bind. Unfortunately, I think probably too many parents don't teach that to their kids, and probably because they didn't know it whenever they were kids. They figured out themselves as well. So hopefully, if nothing else, through this conversation, we can encourage folks to have that conversation with your kids, and to share the ins and outs, the details, the insight that you are experiencing, that you are learning, and bring them along that journey with you. I think is a very important piece. But yeah, there's a lot
I
that we
could
can
not
teach
agree
kids
more.
for sure.
Yep.
And they are little sponges.
Sometimes even when we don't want them to be.
Yes, that's always.
Probably especially when we don't want them to be.
Right. You weren't supposed to see or hear that. What are you doing over here?
Yeah. They said the quiet part out loud again. Ugh.
Oh man, a great series on kids and money. There, I think we all continue to live and learn and try our best, and hopefully our kids will garner something that we are teaching, and apply that to their life as well.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to the conversation, being part of our audience, being part of our community. As always, be sure and leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. We love the feedback. We love hearing from you, and helping you learn how to make smarter money decisions in your life. So, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, check out the YouTube channel, and we'll see you again next week on The Heart of Money.